You're listening to Big World Network.
Kai's Inquisition, The Blight of Shadowfall. Season 2, Episode 6. Written and read by Ton Krakowski. Kichi giggled and jumped to his feet. He scampered into the dark recesses of the cavern and began to rummage through half-full wooden trunks, pulling glass vials and leather pouches from them while carrying on a muted conversation with himself. I know I have those crystals Aha! Here we are! Chajek slapped his thigh and rose from his place at the fire with an expression that clearly translated to, "Now would be a good time to leave." Pia nodded in agreement and waved her hands at Jack to spur her into quietly departing, even as Kai remained stubbornly in place. Reynard had already slunk halfway to the cave entrance when the old man returned with his spindly arms overflowing. Now, my friends," Kichi chided. "Is that any way for a guest to behave? You wouldn't want my god to be vexed with me for being a poor host, would you?" "No, of course not," Reynard breathed, with a mixture of sarcasm and shame at being caught. After he dumped his burden on the ground, the old man marched back to the trunks and said over his shoulder, "I was told that I was to be your guide, and that's what I intend to do. As I won't be able to do that without a quick planar jaunt to find out where I am to guide you to, I suggest you return to your places at the fire and have some patience." Pio protested. "We shall do nothing of the sort. A vision quest is not something done in a group. You can't just throw some dust in the fire willy-nilly and expect to talk to the gods. Besides, we are ill-prepared to travel to other planes of existence." The rumpled old man returned to the fire with a second load of bowls, jars, and packets of herbs. "You can't. You are merely an oracle, and an inexperienced one at that." His tone softened as he busied himself with arranging the assortment of items on the ground at his feet. "Don't worry, dearie. I've been doing this sort of thing since, well, I can't remember that either. Now sit down, all of you." Reynard shrugged at Pia and strutted back to the fire pit. He took a seat between Jack and Chajek, patently ignoring Kai's arched eyebrow and smug expression. Pia moved closer, but made no move to sit. Satisfied with the arrangement of his items, Kichi addressed Pia in a fatherly tone. "You may take notes, my dear. This druid ritual is a handy one for an oracle to know if she wishes to be more than just a deity's puppet." "Well, I never!" Pia bristled. She turned to leave, but stopped short when Kai grabbed her arm. "Are you not a scholar seeking knowledge? Stay." "And be subjected to this puffed-up mossback's insults? I think not." She yanked free of Kai's grasp just as Kichi threw a handful of red crystals into the fire. The flames sparked a tempestuous viridian and shot up in a column through the hole above it, as a thick smoke the same shade of green, with a slightly acrid but pleasant scent, began to billow from the coals. Pia doubled over and coughed violently, sinking to her knees next to Kai as she tried to control the fit. "Yes, that's better." The old man smiled his approval as Pia gasped between the spasms. "Now, please state your names before the gods while I prepare the grove." Beginning with Kai, as she was the only enthusiastic participant, believing this to be Naderu's will, each of the travelers did as the old man commanded, Reynard and Jack with varying degrees of reluctance, and Pia with open hostility. As they did so, their names echoed eerily off the chamber walls where there had been no echo before. When it was Chajek's turn, he could only shake his head and point to his throat. "Do not be concerned, my friend," Kichi said as he carefully spread a pristine white cloth to one side of the fire. The gods already know your name. In any case, I have a different task for you. 4 initiates will serve nicely. 5 is out of balance. Your role will be to watch the cave entrance and the little pterodactyl here during the ceremony. Make sure that we are not disturbed, and no matter what happens, do not break the circle. Kichi shooed Zephyr and the bard, who was more than grateful to be excused, toward the mouth of the cave. Once they had retreated, the old man placed bowls on the 3 sides of the cloth furthest from the fire, and proceeded to fill the bowl facing east with frankincense, the westward one with water, and the remaining bowl with salt. He then arranged a sheathed dagger, a drinking horn, and a larger bowl of reddish clay in the center of the cloth. Before I open the circle, I must paint your sacred animal on your skin. This would be more easily accomplished if you were to disrobe. He demonstrated his intentions by pulling his filthy garment over his head and tossing it aside. I did not need to see that, Reynard groaned. Naked as the day he was born, the old man dipped his fingers into a bowl of red clay and drew an image of a crab on his gnarled and sunken chest. There, now who's next? He looked expectantly at Jack. Touch me and you die, old man, Jack warned, and I am not taking off my armor. Well then, how about you, Reynard? Would you like to go first and show Jack that there's nothing to fear? I fear nothing, Jack barked. She swiftly removed the scabbard and strap for her falchion, turned her back to the old man, and hissed, Place whatever it is you intend to draw here on my shoulder. Be quick about it before I lose patience and decide to use you as a sparring dummy instead. As you wish. The old man gulped and drew a shaky image of a primitive warthog where Jack indicated. You next, he informed the thief, who looked as if he were already lulled into a trance by the wafting smoke. Reynard pulled up a shirt sleeve and allowed a mongoose to be drawn on his bicep. Pia received a majestic eagle with its wings outstretched in flight on her right collarbone. The old man looked sideways at Kai when she requested that he place her spirit animal on her forehead, but did as she asked, painting a menacing honey badger above her left eye. Once Kichi was finished with Kai, he picked up the dagger, stood, and walked clockwise around the outside of the group, pausing to bare and recover the blade in each cardinal direction. After one complete circuit, he stood near the bowl of salt and began chanting. The smoke expanded outward from the fire, filling every nook of the cavern with a glowing opaqueness. It muffled Kichi's incantation and swirled above the altar cloth in a dance of shapes and shadows. As the group watched, a shadow resembling Zephyr appeared to fly upward from within the depths of the smoke and grow into adulthood before their eyes. Once he had transformed into a beast large enough to carry Reynard without difficulty, the shadow Zephyr roared and sprang through the hole in the ceiling. Beginning with Kichi, the spirits of those seated within the circle peeled away from their flesh, took the form of their respective spirit animals, and followed the pterodactyl up into the nighttime sky. They marveled at the infinity of stars, dancing among them with abandon, until they noticed that, one by one, the stars were disappearing from view. A single point of light began to grow larger than the others, expanding and bulging outward until it became an immense red vortex, gobbling up all in its path. As they watched, the vortex elongated, reforming into a serpent. "It must be stopped!" the crab spirit shouted. As one, the spirit creatures attacked the snake with claws and teeth, shredding its body to pieces. Heady with their easy victory, they were slow to realize that it was an illusion. Each portion torn from the serpent became an entirely new creature that dutifully returned to the task of swallowing entire galaxies. "This way," the crab beckoned. "I know what must be done." He led the other spirits back the way they had come and placed them back within their bodies. As the party regained their true senses, lightning suddenly lanced through the hole in the cavern and struck the drinking horn on the altar, shattering it. The force of the blow knocked them all backward, and the heat of the flash permanently seared the mud images Kichi had drawn onto their skin. Kai heard the old druid cry out, "We are blessed!" before the pain in her head from the branding overcame her and she descended into unconsciousness.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.